Hello, welcome to Ra-El Bull. I'm a professional astrologer and holistic wellness practitioner. Thank you so much for choosing to spend these precious minutes of your time with me today. This is the monthly general astrology overview for December 2023. I'm your host and guide, Ephemeral. December 2023 is the month of electric divine feminine dragon fire magic. Rahu, the head of the dragon, also known as the lunar north node, is participating in a beautiful, harmonizing, and good fortune-making set of aspects that involve both luminaries, sun and moon, and all 5 personal planets. These harmonious alignments, chiefly the trine angles, occur almost exclusively in the fire signs Sagittarius and Aries. These 2 trines involve both of the most fiery astro bodies, the Sun and Mars. Additionally, these 2 fire sign dragon trines are accompanied by another set of fire sign blessings. The ruling planet of fire sign Sagittarius, the great benefic Jupiter, will gift us 4 times this month with his sweet Taurean embraces as he makes trines with Mercury twice, the Sun, and magical expressive black moon Lilith. On top of all that fire sign magic, Jupiter stations direct at the end of the month on the 30th, which boosts his power to manifest all this joy and luck in the physical and sensorial realms. Last, look for some mercurial magic this month as Mercury and Venus vivify the mystical fraction 22-7, as he's admitted into the throne room of the sun at 1 degree Capricorn. I've created a calendar for all my astrology videos, which is free for you to access. You simply need to have Google Calendar installed on your device and subscribe to my website. The calendar contains moon phases, lime green for positive electional phases, red for negative phases and quarters. The moon sign transits, all are in gray except for Capricorn and Scorpio, which are not favored for electional astrology purposes. Moon void of course periods are indicated by these red dots, such as here and here. Positive electional lunar tail aspects, those are indicated in mint green, such as here and here. And major planetary transits and aspects, dark green for positive, such as here, and red for negative, such as here. If you would like to know more about what electional astrology is, including moon void of course periods and lunar tail aspects, and my electional astrology services, please see my monthly electional astrology videos or visit my website. Important calendar notes. Note that my Google Calendar is set for Pacific time. When you access the calendar, you need to be sure your own calendar has your current time zone set for your location. All degree points in my calendar are tropical unless indicated otherwise. The link for the Ra-El Bull website is below. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to support this channel. It's free to subscribe to this channel, and it's free to subscribe to my website. If you do both, access to the calendar, which is overflowing with important information for all aspects of your life, is free. Also, subscribing to my channel has a strong promotional impact with YouTube's algorithm, and it also means my videos will automatically appear in your YouTube content feed so you're aware of my new uploads as they occur. Thank you so much for subscribing by hitting the subscribe button below. Let's do this. To get us started, I'll first point out some of the key events, transits, and energies in play during December 2023, and then we'll drill down into the real meat, the divine feminine fire dragon trines, the beautiful Jupiter trines, which predict lucky, auspicious, and revitalizing new beginnings, and the Mercury Cazimi magic. First, Mercury is doing some beautiful dancing until the 25th, with the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter on both sides of its retrograde station on the 13th. Second, there are many favorable moon sign transits, 9 of them actually. A lovely Sagittarius new moon on the 12th, trining the North Node like the Sun and Mars later that month. A Sagittarius new moon points to new beginnings related to long distance travel, higher belief systems, philosophy, wisdom, and spirituality. Also, we have a beautiful full moon in Cancer on the 26th, with the Sun trining Jupiter and Venus trining Neptune. This is tremendously uplifting and abundance-making energy that should manifest in both the spiritual and material realms. Third, Mars. Besides fire trining the North Node along with the Sun, Mars continues to move with some lovely, healing, forward-looking work with Chiron. As I said in my electional astrology video for December, this is very potent energy for spiritual self-becoming, for self-actualization. It's very strong higher self-activation energy. It's electric, fiery, and divine. Fourth, December also isn't a month plagued by any extreme outer planet toxicity, apart from a Mars-Neptune square on the 28th. Just the opposite, Saturn even makes some harmonious aspects with some planets, including the Sun, Mercury, and Venus. Fifth, Venus is activated, some good, some bad. We have Venus squaring Pluto on the 3rd and opposing Uranus on the 20th. However, on the 28th, Venus is sextiling Pluto, which is positive for relationships, money, beauty, sensuality, and Tarian pleasures. However, Venus ingresses into a Saturn square at the very end of the month, so that's not ideal for relationships, contracts, or those same Venusian things I just mentioned. Again, dates for all of the above are on my free calendar. Now let's dig into the real meat of December's astrology. December is a very key month in the larger outer planet drama that we can trace back to the grand conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn on the winter solstice 2020. That was a once in an 800-year event. It occurred at 0 to 1 degrees Aquarius. And all of this extends well into 2026 with an epic and elaborate configuration. Like this month's astrology, that epic shifting configuration involves 2 spiritual heavyweight planets, Jupiter and Neptune. In 2026, we'll see a truly extraordinary arrangement in the far reaches of our solar system that includes Pluto and Uranus, which I call the gate of the fire horse. I'll be saying much more about that over the next 2.5 years. As we move through today's discussion, you'll notice an abundance of recurring 22s and 7s in December's astrology, both of which are thoroughly magical and mystical numbers. Let's get started with the first course on December's astro menu, Fire Dragon Magic. The December Fire Dragon Trines follow the Sagittarius New Moon Trine on the 12th and are formed by the Sun on the 13th and Mars on the 23rd, the 2 most fiery planets, as well as the lunar North Node, the head of the dragon. Trines are 120-degree angles between 2 objects and are the most favorable and fortunate of all astrological aspects. So here we see the new moon in Sagittarius on the 12th, Sun and Moon conjunct almost 21 degrees of Sagittarius. And if we move forward one day to the 13th, we see the Sun nearly 22 degrees Sagittarius trining the North Node over here, nearly 22 degrees Aries. If we move forward another 10 days, we see that Mars is now in this trine position, 120-degree angle with the North Node here in Aries. The north and south nodes of the moon, also known as Rahu and Ketu in Vedic astrology, are often called the head and tail of the dragon. They're not physical bodies, but calculated points along the moon's orbit that reflect a kind of shift in the north-south orientation of its orbit. These are enormously significant points in both Western and Vedic astrology that speak to our individual and collective past, including our lessons, our karma, where we've been and how we've lived. That's the south node, the tail of the dragon, Ketu, and who we are becoming and where our destiny lies, including the things we desire and the paths we choose in our journey forward, both individually and as a collective. That's Rahu, the head of the dragon. The nodes, which exist along a 180-degree axis, spend 18 months in their sign pairs before moving to the next zodiac sign pair. They exited the Taurus-Scorpio axis in July of this year and now rest in Aries, the north node, and Libra, the south node, where they'll remain until February 1st, 2025. Lunar and solar eclipses are associated with the nodes because eclipses occur around the positions of the nodes. Eclipses, of course, are linked with major, predestined, fated, extraordinary events. Let's talk about the overarching themes of the Aries-Libra dragon's head and tail. The nodes are now in this me-we axis of Aries and Libra, the independent self, Aries, Libra, the self within relationships. Aries is a cardinal fire energy sign, central to the concepts and phenomena of self-assertion, passion, ambition, and aggression. Libra is cardinal air energy, which leads and activates in the domain of relationships, diplomacy, agreements, fairness, and justice. These are themes we'll continue to see play out over the next 13 to 14 months. Consider goal setting, strategy, planning, and execution. These are all very Aries endeavors and concerns. Fairness and balance, those are Libran. New beginnings and launches, Aries. And groundwork, foundations, design, and structure. All of those things are reflected in the synergies of Aries and Libra. Let's now talk about the two fire trines. The two trines occur in tropical Sagittarius and Aries. The Sun trine occurs at 22 degrees. The Mars trine at 21 degrees. Mercury, Venus, and Lilith participate indirectly with these trines, forming a trio of mutually affectionate angles beginning on the 9th, followed by a new moon in Sagittarius on the 12th, which trines the north node as well, as I mentioned. The following day, the 13th, is the day the Sun makes its fire trine with Rahu. So what can we expect of these trines? On the whole, these two trines speak to a dark wisdom and deep mysticism harmonizing with abundance, beauty, and enlightenment. The Sagittarius Sun is an amplifier and illuminator of things governed by Sagittarius: higher belief systems, spirituality, philosophy, adventure, long-distance travel, and foreign cultures. Aries, of course, rules over the self: passion, will, ambition, aggression, assertion, and activities that fall in the athletics, military, and law enforcement spheres. Any or all of these fields of experience could enjoy the energizings and illuminations of the Sun during this trine. When we look at the Vedic lunar mansions, we find the Sun and later Mars in the Nakshatra Jyeshta, the wisdom crone. This is a feminine, psychic, occult power mansion ruled by Mercury that shares space with the heart of the Scorpion, the great red supergiant star Antares. The North Node rests in the Nakshatra Revati, also ruled by Mercury and associated with the Hindu goddess Lakshmi, who's something like a cross between Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune, presiding over fortune, power, prosperity, beauty, and fertility. Revati is called the bringer of light, which means the dissemination or transmission of gnosis, wisdom, or ascension consciousness activations. An important note here, the wounded healer, psychic teacher, centaur, sage, Chiron, goes direct in Revati on the 26th of December. This powerful moment is a day when we can transcend self-imposed limitations related to our wounds and discover new ways of leveraging our past suffering to transform and heal. In fire sign Aries, Chiron's direct station will be especially powerful, and in the lunar mansion of the light bringer, we can expect his gathering momentum to yield some very beneficial medicine for ourselves and perhaps others as well. 10 days later, Mars will journey to roughly the same degree of Sagittarius, and sitting in Jyeshta, the wisdom crone nakshatra, it will form the second fire trine with the North Node in Aries. Mars is the ruler of Aries, so we can expect a powerful and beneficial intensification of the same fields of experience previously discussed. Putting all this together, when we look at these trines through the sidereal and Vedic lenses, I think what we can glean is a harmonizing dynamic, as I said earlier, of dark wisdom and deep mysticism, Jyeshta, with abundance, beauty, and enlightenment, Revati. We see enchanting, exciting, divine feminine energies at work that are magical, uplifting, and auspicious. With the North Node in Lakshmi's paradisic domain, Revati, these fire trines hold the power to ignite our aesthetic passions, expand our capacity for manifestations in the physical, and crystallize a new higher self-embodiment in our physical bodies. When we overlay that with the Western tropical perspective, we're led to consider how the mutable, fiery Sagittarian energies might stimulate our forward momentum. From the tropical vantage point, we feel a distinctly more masculine infusion of planetary powers, but still highly spiritual, transformative, and positive. Sagittarius is ruled by the great benefic Jupiter, after all, and Jupiter will be enjoying a spectacular month, which we'll discuss in the next section. On December 3rd, we have Black Moon Lilith, nearly 7 degrees of Virgo, trining Taurus and Jupiter, nearly 7 degrees. And if we move forward 4 days, we'll find our first Mercury trine here on the 7th, Mercury in Capricorn, 6 degrees, trining Jupiter in Taurus at 6 degrees. 11 days later, we'll have the second trine between Mercury here in Capricorn and Jupiter in Taurus. 9 days later, we'll see the fourth trine with Jupiter in Taurus. This one involves the sun. The sun here at nearly 6 degrees of Capricorn, trining Jupiter again at nearly 6 degrees of Taurus. And 3 days later, at the end of the month on the 30th, Jupiter goes direct in Taurus, 5 degrees, 34 minutes on this chart. As I mentioned at the top of the video, the great benefic who rules both 1, mutable fire sign Sagittarius, and 2, now co-rules mutable water sign Pisces, Jupiter is in rare form this month. On top of all of that, Jupiter, along with Neptune, is changing directions in December. So this collection of ingredients holds the power to generate a 5-layer cake of joy, optimism, spiritual insight, expansion, and luck. Speaking of Neptune, it's helpful to set the stage a bit for the discussion of how these two highly spiritual, probably the most spiritual of planets, arrived at their current locations. Jupiter's now in the first decan of Taurus, Neptune's in the third decan of Pisces. Following on the winter solstice of 2020, the grand conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, a second key foundational moment in this large outer planet magical tableau unfolding in real time occurred on April 12, 2022, when Jupiter and Neptune made a very rare conjunction in the sign they co-rule: mystical, magical, imaginal, compassionate, transcendental, and divine Pisces. That hadn't occurred in 156 years, not since St. Patrick's Day in 1856. Jumping forward 166 years to 2022, April 12, note the 22, Jupiter and Neptune lined up perfectly in Pisces, this time at 23 degrees, 58 minutes in the Vedic lunar mansion of Purva Bhadrapada, the nakshatra of purification. That's nakshatra 25. Note the reduction to 7. This powerful lunar mansion is a potent crucible of purification and transformation. It's extraordinary and magical, having both Plutonian and Uranian qualities. It's Aquarian and Scorpionic and Piscean, blended with some fire sign energy symbolized by a male lion and ruled by Jupiter. This is a fierce and severe nakshatra that incinerates our dualistic illusions and hypocrisies to clear the pathways for a more fulsome higher self communion. If you had an extreme spiritual amplification, activation, revitalization, or a similar deep introspective intensification in April 2022, or any kind of psychic expansion or awakening around that time, as so many people did, you can thank Jupiter and Neptune and the lunar mansion of purification for that. Since April of 2022, both planets were direct then, and that was 19 or 20 months ago. Jupiter has gone retrograde twice. He ended the first retrograde in November 2022, going direct in the lunar mansion called the Dragon Serpent of the Deep, Uttara Bhadrapada. He'll end his second retrograde on December 30th, this month, going direct in Ashwini, the lunar mansion of vitality and new beginnings. So for Jupiter, what we're witnessing is an epochal reset with Saturn in late 2020, a process of purification in April 2022, a powerful releasing and deep descent into the black waters of the dark mother's womb in November 2022, and now, in the very final days of 2023, a revitalization of exceptional power and auspiciousness in Ashwini. Miraculous solutions, breathtaking inspirations, enlightened understanding, healing of mind, body, and soul. Ashwini has the flavor of alchemical transformations, the sacred marriage of spirit, reconciliation of opposites, the yin-yang harmony in duality. Some of that may feel a bit abstract, but Jupiter is one of the key players in the upcoming Gate of the Firehorse configuration, and the journeys of all 4 planets leading up to that event are important if we're to understand it. So what has Neptune been up to since April 2022, when it conjoined with Jupiter in that 156-year rare event? Like Jupiter, since April 2022, Neptune also went retrograde twice, but has largely remained in the purification nakshatra Purva Bhadrapada. Neptune stationed retrograde on July 1st and retrograded back into the purification nakshatra after a short excursion into the following lunar mansion. And Neptune goes direct in the purification nakshatra this month on December 7th. Neptune finally leaves that spiritual fire purification lunar mansion at the end of next year for the domain of the dragon serpent of the deep and the dark mother. So this is also a multi-stage progression for Neptune of transiting the fierce, purging spiritual fire of Purva Bhadrapada. Neptune's final exit from that purification nakshatra will be a momentous departure for at least a couple reasons. First, it won't return to that lunar mansion until 2168. Second, before the gate of the fire horse is erected in 2026 by 4 outer planets, on February 7, 2025, Neptune will conjunct Rahu, the north node, the head of the dragon, in Uttara Bhadrapada, the realm of the dragon serpent of the deep. That conjunction in February 2025 will be profound. We'll have an intensely mystical and spiritual planet descending into a deep mansion of the unconscious where it confronts our destiny and our journey into the future, both collectively and individually. So with that bit of background relating to Jupiter and Neptune behind us, let's move on to the Jupiter trines occurring this month. We've talked about the explorations and activations of Jupiter and Neptune since their rare conjunction in Pisces in April 2022. This month, both planets are stationing direct, which means their powers and influences are strongly activated, and Jupiter, which is the ruler of both Sagittarius and Pisces, now in Taurus, is making beautiful music with Mercury, the Sun, and Lilith. These are Earth sign trines we're discussing. Mercury and the Sun are in Capricorn, and Black Moon Lilith is in Virgo. Let's look at the Lilith trine first. Recall that Ashwini is the lunar mansion of vitality and new beginnings, symbolized by the head of the horse, called the physician to the gods. It's about healing, robust energy, speed, solutions, and reconciliations. Lilith in tropical Virgo, the mutable energy feminine earth sign, is in the Nakshatra Mula. This is a female fire mansion in sidereal Leo. Its themes include the grand scale of awareness and our shared connections to universal consciousness. This is why Maga contains the qualities of magnificence and royalty. It's connected with our ancestors and the higher realms as well. Maga spirituality also entails detachments from worldliness and leaning into personal responsibility, compassion, and unity. Mating these concepts and influences for these two nakshatras, we can sense both a freedom from pressing worldly and material matters and a renewal of our sense of proper journey forward into the world with divine and noble virtues. Jupiter is the highly spiritual king of the gods, the great benefic, known for luck, expansion, abundance, and spiritual knowledge. So his qualities are a natural fit with Maga. On the other hand, Lilith's spirituality is far less compatible with Maga, at least in Maga's divine light aspects. Lilith is highly individualistic and expressive and more hermetic. The cocktail of these influences and energies is complex. The spiritual flavor of all of this is like a fine, bitter, dark chocolate, fudge poured over a rich vanilla ice cream on a plate of fresh fruits and pastries. This first trine with Jupiter marks the opening page in a chapter for his December journey that promises to be spiritual, expressive, highly personal, and sprinkled with liberating perceptions. Black Moon Lilith, like the nodes, is not an astrobody, but a calculated orbital point. Lilith is the alienated, outcast, nonconformist. She's the wounded victim in us, the repressed and shamed inner selves. So when Jupiter smiles on her, we can expect some part of our inner self to undergo a healing. Or we might discover that those alienated, estranged, rejected inner selves step forward as sources of new abundance, joy, or optimism. Virgo energies are aimed at growth, healing, support, and nurture. It's a highly analytical and detail-oriented mode of energetics. Also, Lilith is a goddess of deep mysticism and magical sight, which endows her with peerless creative powers. When Jupiter blesses her, our powers of creativity might be amplified, as well as our intuition and psychic senses. This trine between Jupiter and Lilith is very much about an activation of divine feminine magic and noble visions of our futures. We may not fully experience this blessing during the days around the 3rd, however, and perhaps only sense it or have a glimpse of it. Jupiter is moving slowly in retrograde motion when he conjuncts Lilith at 7 degrees Taurus in Virgo. And when he goes direct on the 30th, it's more likely the effect will manifest for us on the 22nd of April, when he conjuncts her a second time next year at 22 degrees of Taurus and Virgo, this time in forward motion, so we can expect a more pronounced or tangible manifestation. These trine episodes for Jupiter and Lilith occur about every 10 or 20 years, so they are rare events. Mercury is the next player to trine Jupiter this month. Recall that we've said Jupiter is in Ashwini, the lunar mansion of vitality and new beginnings, symbolized by the head of the horse and called the physician to the gods. Mercury is in Nakshatra Mula, which is a very mysterious lunar mansion like Uttara Bhadrapada. This lunar mansion is neuter in gender and associated with the goddess, destroyer, and protectress Kali, as well as Ganesha, who shares a number of qualities with Mercury as a deity of the arts and sciences and a ruler of thought and reason. Ganesha is also the remover of obstacles and a bringer of good luck. Mercury's 2 December trines with Jupiter may have a double 4-leaf clover influence to that extent. Mula is also known for its deep exploration and penetrating investigation qualities, particularly with respect to our own unconscious. It has the capacity for unrooting malignant things within ourselves, disillusioning us and helping us confront difficult internal realities. The net result is purifying, liberating, and healing, although that sort of scorpionic work is rarely comfortable. Luckily, the planet of joy, luck, and abundance is here to help us as he trines Mercury in this intense and often challenging lunar mansion. Like Ashwini, Mula promotes our problem-solving efforts, and like the Nakshatra of purification, which Jupiter recently passed through and where Neptune now sits, Mula helps rid us of toxicities that frustrate our successful forward movement. Jupiter trines Mercury here on the 7th and again on the 18th in the same lunar mansion when Mercury is in retrograde motion. We should expect a revisitation, therefore, of whatever arose for us on the 7th, again on the 18th. If you feel a sense of distress at any time during this period, just remember that Jupiter is here to bless you, and in Ashwini, he's presenting you with incredible powers of reconciliation, problem-solving, energy replenishment, and inspiration. And get ready, because if neither the 7th or 18th make it all gel for you, Jupiter and Mercury trine again next month on the 12th in the same lunar mansions. But wait, there's even more Mula Ashwini action on the menu, because the Sun will trine Jupiter this month on the 27th. Jupiter's 4th trine in December is on the 27th, when the Capricorn Sun makes an Earth trine with Jupiter in Taurus at 5 degrees and 36 minutes. On the 27th, the Sun will be in lunar mansion Mula, where Mercury made its trines with Jupiter, and Jupiter is still in Ashwini. This is the 3rd activation we'll see in December between these 2 lunar mansions: Mula, mansion of unrooting and liberations, and Ashwini, mansion of vitality and new beginnings. While Mula is a dark and deep and uncomfortable space, even distressing or agonizing, the Sun and Jupiter are strongly contrapuntal energies. Joy, optimism, inspiration, vitality, those things characterize the Sun and Jupiter, not to mention luck, abundance, and desire. So if things feel rough in December, chin up, because there's a cherry on the cake. Jupiter stations direct in Ashwini at 6:40 p.m. Pacific time on December 30th, 5 degrees, 34 minutes, Taurus. In total, in December, we see 5 activations in Ashwini, that wonderful lunar mansion of the golden armored horse-headed twins, 3 with Mula, 1 with Magga, and the final one on the 30th as Jupiter stations direct in Ashwini. It's fair to say that's a superabundance of Jupiterian auspicious astrological blessings. So far, we've covered the Dragon Fire Trines in Sagittarius and Aries, involving the Sun and Mars with the North Node, and we've looked at the wildly energetic, wheels up, thrust at maximum activations of Jupiter. Now let's look at the third remarkable astrophenom this month, Mercury's numinous Cazimi at 0 to 1 degrees Capricorn. On December 13th, we have Mercury stationing retrograde, 12:09 a.m. Pacific time at 8 degrees, 29 minutes Capricorn. 9 days later, on December 22nd, 10:47 a.m., we have Mercury perfectly conjunct the Sun. This is the Mercury Cazimi, 0 degrees, 39 minutes Capricorn. As I said, this is a Mercury retrograde month. It stations retrograde on the 13th, the day after the Sagittarius new moon, 12:09 a.m. at 8 degrees, 29 minutes Capricorn. Because of its retrograde action, Mercury makes triple trines with Jupiter, including the 2 we just looked at 5 to 6 degrees Taurus on the 7th and the 18th in lunar mansions Ashwini and Mula, which I just covered, and again next month on the 12th. This month, Mercury conjoins the Sun on the 22nd, note the 22, 10:47 a.m. Pacific time at 0 degrees, 39 minutes Capricorn tropical. The Sun conjunct Mercury means an energizing and amplification of and illumination into our thinking, reasoning, perception, adaptability, communication, and mobility. Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign. Its energies are those that support us for making our futures and for acting responsibly. Discipline, practice, dedication, these are Capricorn buzzwords. Also, responsibility, rules, regulations, which is why Capricorn is associated with government, institutions, and banking. Capricorn's also linked with our career and public reputation. Fortunately, Capricorn's ruler, Saturn, will make a nice, harmonious sextile with the Mercury Cazimi on the 22nd. So this promises us even more support in the Capricornian fields of experience and influence. This period of peak power and insight for the Mercury Cazimi is short, lasting under 6 hours. December 22nd, 4:02 p.m. Pacific through 9:54 p.m. Pacific. That's a 17-degree orb for the astrologers out there. This would be an excellent time for writing or meditation or problem solving, especially with respect to those Capricornian matters, qualities, and pursuits that I just mentioned. It's also a prime opportunity for developing a Mercury Cazimi spiritual practice, since Saturn and Capricorn are about dedication and investing in our future. If you're interested in some suggestions for developing that kind of practice, there are 7 or 8 Cazimis each year. Please send me a comment and subscribe to my site. This Cazimi is the final one for 2023. It's the 7th. Note the 7. Sometimes Mercury is between the Earth and the Sun during a Cazimi. That's an inferior or interior Cazimi. Other Cazimis, Mercury's on the opposite side of the Sun. called a superior or exterior Cazimi. This Cazimi is an inferior conjunction with the sun, which means it tends to be more about our thinking, wisdom, and insights that are interior and subconscious or intrapersonal. We've talked extensively about lunar mansion Mula, which is where this Cazimi occurs. With both the sun and Mercury in Mula on the 22nd, we might expect penetrating and illuminating insights into our own interior realms and our unconscious, the dispelling of shadowy illusions, or the extraction of deeply buried roots that stymie or strangle our development. Again, while none of this sounds like a walk through the park, we have very powerful benefic energies at our disposal, and we'll have the ability to blast away anything that obstructs our progress, toxifies our space, or doesn't serve us. Mula is also identified with the ability to master our own impulses and undesirable qualities and redirect, transmute, or liberate their awareness and energies into the higher realms. The final comments I have about all this Mercury action and the Cazimi are these. The 22-7 numerology is rather overwhelming when we look at the larger picture. Mercury makes its Cazimi on the 22nd. It's the 7th Cazimi this year, in a year with the universal number 7. Following this Cazimi, Mercury goes direct at 22 degrees Sagittarius. When December started, both the north and south nodes were at 22 degrees on the Aries-Libra axis. In the last week of November, Venus conjuncted the south node in the 7th sign of the zodiac, Libra. When Venus reaches 7 degrees Scorpio on December 10, she makes a harmonious angle with Mercury in Capricorn. There's another 7. Last, Venus and Mercury make a perfect sextile on December 11 at 11:11 a.m. Pacific. There's a 22. What do we know about 22 and 7? Well, that's pi, which holds the mystical mathematics of the circle, which represents heaven or spirit or the divine. 22 is a master builder number, the number of manifesting the most outlandish and ambitious of dreams, and possibly the luckiest of all numbers. 7 is also known as Lucky 7. It's a thoroughly mystical and shamanic number that signals spiritual awakening, psychic development, and inner wisdom. So if any of that Mula action is getting you down, put all that in your pipe and smoke it. So there we have it. Fire trines, a Jupiterian cornucopia, divine feminine goddesses mobilized and engaged, and a Saturn-blessed Mercury Cazimi. All of it flaunting its enchanting origins with 7s and 22s. December looks to be quite an adventure. This video has provided a broad overview for December's 2023 astrology. If you'd like customized and focused astrological advice about anything of concern to you, please contact me using the information below. You can even place an order on my site for preparation and reading of your natal chart at 3 different tier levels to accommodate any budget. In addition to natal chart and electional chart services, I also provide Sophianic spirituality, higher self activations, and general consultations for spirituality, health and wellness, and career. You can also schedule time for a one-to-one consultation with me on my site. If you're interested in participating in a Sophia Circle journey and you're in the Los Angeles area, I'm facilitating a live circle of 13 90-minute sessions that begins January 7. Instructions for joining can be found on my site on the services page. Thank you again for spending your time with me today. Rael Bull.